Okay, and we're back for our second day working with clay. So we did our little haniwa horse, and I had you wrap him up in plastic so that all the moisture would wick back and forth and back and forth. And then you want to get him out of the plastic and you want to see how he's doing, and if he's stiffened up, you want to go ahead and poke holes, and I already did. I started the video and then I had to stop it, so you missed this part. But I went in, I knew I was going to do eyes, so I did just poking holes where the eyes will go, where the nose is going to go, the nostrils, just to get air into. I'm going to put a saddle on him so I could poke a hole there, and then I poked a hole, you can see, into all 4 feet. And you could go in there with a pencil and open that back up if you wanted to. And it'll just even out the drying, and it'll set up a lot quicker. Also, we don't want them to, they're shrinking now as they're setting up. So there we go. Okay, so we got these beautiful little ears. We got this mane, got a lovely saddle. I think I'm gonna start with the saddle. I don't want to layer a ton of clay, so I don't necessarily want to put a whole, yeah, I think I will. Never mind. Never mind. Let's just do it. So I need a little bit more clay. This clay in here is dry. I'm going to just throw little sprinkles of water in there. And if your clay's dry, you can get your fingers wet, and you can just wedge with wet fingers, and that'll drive some moisture back into your clay. You can see it's getting it wet. Okay, now my hands are a mess. Let's just dry those off real quick. And so, saddle. So I'm going to leave this kind of thick, this, and I'm just going to flatten it out this way and this way, and now I'm going to go this way. I'm going to make sure it's not sticking, pick it up. If I had a rolling pin, I'd be rolling this, but I didn't want to make you guys get rolling pins and all that, so we're just going to do it with our little paws. I don't want it super thick because I don't want to put a ton of weight on this horse's back. I don't want him collapsing under the weight of everything. Okay, so that's good enough. So, man, I love an X-Acto knife for this. I'm just going to check my measurements. Comes down to about here. And let's see, width-wise, okay, just eyeballing it. Okay, and so let me just double check and see. There's his saddle, and they have, this is a nice, they have like a little semicircle that's holding him into the saddle. I'm going to use some of these scraps. Move them over here a little bit. I'm just going to add that on. I'm going to take my finger and I'm just going to smooth these edges. When you cut clay like that, these edges, they're sharp, and when they dry, they get sharper. So smooth them a little bit. Let me do another little semicircle on that back side. Press the clay out flat. About the same length as the other one. Make sure I'm in camera here. I want to make sure you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay. And they have just kind of a little impression of the ring that, you know, they would have put there. The stirrup, I guess it's called. Just going to do a little stirrup here. Here. Okay. Run my finger over this. Smooth it. This back one isn't working. It's too thin. We'll take it off and do another one. Like I said, I don't mind you seeing me make mistakes, because then you know how to fix them. If your fingertips get dirty, just dip them in the water, clean them off, because they get just as sticky as the clay. Okay. Bring it back over here. Smooth that and compress it at the same time. Got a little part over here that's wanting to crack. Just support it and move some clay in there to cover up that crack. Okay. Same thing on this one. Okay, and we have a little tail here. Oh my gosh, this tail is adorable. You just look at a couple of pictures and see if it looks the same in both. Got a little pointy tail. Knife. I'm starting to get so much stuff on him that I do not want to pick him up anymore. But I do want to look. Oh, this is not in the middle. Gotta move him over. There we go. That's better. Attaching the tail. Adorable. Smoothing everything. Okay, what else do we have? There is something else on his back. Looks like it's a sort of something that comes out in a fan design. I've made this saddle bigger, but that's okay. Artistic license. So it's kind of a fan design with little balls on it. Not quite sure what that is, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it My fingers are so wet, I can't touch the clay. A little more clay. Not a very round ball. I don't think this is going to fit in here. This goes back here. Yeah, it's a little bit too deep. So let's take some off. And oh, there goes the tail. It's okay. Worst things will happen. We'll just put that baby right back on. I probably should have saved the tail for last because it's pretty vulnerable just hanging out there while I'm doing all this other stuff. You know, I think I will. I'll put the tail over there. Put him back on later. Okay. Now he's also got a ring around his neck. But I think, nope, I can do that next. So I'm going to do a little coil. Excuse me, little guy. I want to make sure this is going to go all the way around. It will. And now I'll just use my pencil. Flatten it out a little bit. It's a little wider than I need it to be, and I'd like this to be a nice straight line, because that's the way it is in the original. Ooh. Okay, I lost some of it, but let's see if it'll still fit. Yes, we have it. I don't want to run a fork over this. I would worry about what would happen. So I'm just going to get it really wet and sticky. I'm going to go ahead and add it on here. Hooks up to the saddle. Okay, and we got some little balls hanging off of that too. Don't know what those are for, but I like them. Okay, and we need those adorable ears. I'm going to bring my little bit drier clay. He's a little lopsided. We also have the mane, so let's do the mane first, and then we'll, because I'm afraid, I'm just going to roll a coil. I'm afraid if I put the ears in and then I try and place the mane in around it, I'm just going to make a big mess out of it. I'm going to knock those ears off. So I'm going to roll a fairly fat coil. Watch out, baby. Okay, bring my pencil back in here. Flatten it out. I'm not going to make this one too thin because it stands up. Just going to check. Need a little bit of an angle here to get it to nest down into. I do that the wrong way. Let's go that way. Let's see if that works. Get him to nest down into that saddle, and he comes up and it comes over and down. Not between his eyes, not that far. So right about there. Okay. And then it's got this really lovely texture on it. I'm going to just take the side of my spoon. Texture that. Other side. And I am going to make that the shape it's going to be. And then I'm going to pull that off, and I'm just going to leave it off to the side. I'm going to put it over, it's out of camera range. I'm going to leave it in that shape and set it over there and let it set up for a little bit. I've got the eyes and the nostrils to do. So the eyes are almond shape, and they're just cutouts. So this is a great use of my X-Acto blade. Move that a little bit. The other side. A little bit bigger. I'm comparing left and right to see if they kind of sort of match. Yes, they do. The nostrils, we have a nostril on each side. Do a cutout on that. Cut out here. Let's see what I'll show you what we're doing here. See? Just picking his nose. That's all I'm doing here. Okay. And then they put just a little flare on the nostrils. I love that. I'm going to do a little coil on each side of the nostril. So I'm just going to get a little wet. They did a little flare up around the nostril. Woohoo! Easy peasy, right? It's the details that sell it. So tiny. Get in there with my X-Acto knife, a little bit of water. I can just kind of get it to blend in. And get them to match, or get close to matching on both sides. Okay, up through here. And he's got, made clean fingers. He's got more strapping everywhere. So, flat straps. Rolling a coil. I want to make sure you can see what I'm doing here. They're fairly thin and small, so I'm going to go with a very thin coil. I'm going to use my pencil, flatten them out. That one's pretty straight. I'll just focus on this side here. The clay is so soft that as I cut it, it's just pulling. It would be nice if I could wait, but if we're going to finish this in one class period, we can't wait. You could wait. So if you're frustrated and you want to wait, let this set up. It's just a little bit stiffer. It just cuts beautifully, but it's fighting me right now. So we have one that goes down his face. So from where his mane stops, it comes down to about there. Get it nice and wet and it'll stick. Okay. And from there it goes around. I think this connects into a bit in his mouth. There's kind of a fancy ring here that's holding all that together. I just quickly simulate that. Got a bit coming in on either side. I am not an equestrian, so I'm not really sure how all of this connects, but I'm going to do my best. Let's get these wet so they stick. Just throw those in. And we've got one that comes down the side of his face. So this goes around his mane. Comes down under here. And another one, let's get these over here, put everything to use. Another one goes up, looks like under the eyes, goes up by the ears. Behind the ears. So you can put in as much or as little detail as you want. Whoops, that came off. I'm just going to stick it right back down. So I am getting to the point where I'm pretty good with this. Bringing the mane back in. I'm going to get nice and wet and gooey. Okay. And some ears. These ears are just adorable. You know what? I got this clay over here. It's been sitting. It's going to be a little bit drier. I think it's going to be a little bit easier for me to work with for cutting out small, thin slabs. Okay. I think these ears, this is probably going to be too big. Yes, it's definitely going to be too big, but it's also a little too thick. I'm going to press it to thin it out. So I just cut little ovals, run around. pour this and get this nice and gooey. I want lots of gooey clay right here. What is tiny enough to get in here? An X-Acto knife. A pencil maybe. There's one here. Okay, here's hoping I can get two that kind of match, sort of match. The problem with eyes and ears is getting two that look the same. I left this part here and I kind of folded this up because that gave me some place to slip and score and get it to stick down. See, I just folded that little flap up there. And I used my X-Acto knife because it's just so small. I didn't want to go in there even with the fork. And let's get that second ear in there. Okay. So I think, oh, tail. Where? Oh no. I said this tail, oh, there it is. The tail ended up on the scrap pile. Let's put that tail on and then walk away and leave it. So sometimes these little things like the tails and ears, you want to be the last thing that you do because they're the first thing you knock off if you're not careful. Come back around here, little guy. Make sure that tail is close to the center. He's off again. Okay. And I could just go over him and do a little bit of cleaning all the little spots that I boogered up, but voila, he is done.